Hello everyone, it's Kim here at Hancock Homesteading Gardens, and it is time for another Yuletide vlog. And I'm doing this vlog kind of later in the day because I just forgot to turn the camera on today. But basically what I've done today is wrap presents. I've been listening to Christmas music and wrapping presents, and I'm not one of those people that can just go at wrapping presents. I kind of have to take breaks in between, and I thought tonight I would just share with you my technique for wrapping presents. I'm not sure how you guys do it, but I always like to pick a special wrapping paper for each person. So like my daughter Karen, she has these 4 presents are hers, and they're wrapped in this pretty pink and green. And then my son-in-law, he got the striped ones, and his are back here. And then like my grandson loves cats. And he has a cat at his house, and we have a cat here, and so we found this wrapping paper with these cats wearing the Santa hats, and we thought those would be really cute for him. John thought that he would like them too, and so yeah, so I got several of his wrapped. And now I'm going to start wrapping Katie's, or some of Katie's. And the wrapping paper that I like to use for her is this green, and it's got these Christmas trees, and it says "Let It Snow." And I've always done that. I've always picked a special wrapping paper for each one of my kids, and then I wrap all their presents in that same wrapping paper, and then that way when they look under the tree they can see, oh, those are mine, and those are Sis's, you know, and those are Paul's, and they just know whose is whose. And I'll even go as far as numbering them in the order I want them to open them. I'll usually start with, you know, the minor gifts first and mark 1, 2, you know, and then up to the upper gifts, and then I'll, you know, use a higher number for them so that when they open them in order, the special gift comes at the end. And I've always done that. And yeah, so, but it's really kind of neat whenever I think back to my childhood of some of the ways my mom has done it. My mom loved Christmas, and she always made Christmas fun. And a couple of the Christmases that I can really remember as far as her wrapping presents went is instead of using the color-coded paper, she wrapped the present, and then she would put a number on it. And then she kept this clipboard that had the numbers on there, and next to each number was the person's name. So whenever you looked under the tree and you saw the boxes, the presents, you didn't see tags with who they were to. You saw numbers, and you didn't know whose number was whose. But she did. She knew that, you know, Christmas Day she'd pull out the clipboard, and as we would bring the presents out number by number, she would tell who they went to. Well, I guess we must have been, I don't know, let's see, my brother was probably about 5. I remember that because I was sitting there, and I was shaking this present. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's rattling, and it was, you know, shakeable, and you know how kids are, we just want to, you know, sneak a peek or see if we can figure out what's inside. And my mom walked into the room as I was shaking that present, and she went, oh my gosh, Kilmray. She goes, what have you done? And I got, you know, I was like, oh no, what did I do, you know? And so she came over and she goes, let me see that. So she gets the board out and she looks at it, and she goes, ugh. She goes, you just broke Steve's present. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I didn't know it was Steve's present, you know, and Steve, my brother, you know, he was old enough to know that I had just broken his present. And girl. So anyway, Jody, she's sitting there all quiet, just kind of looking wide-eyed, you know, like, oh my God, Kim's getting in trouble again. And so Mom was like, well, you know, the only thing we can do is we're just going to have to open the present. We're going to have to open the present, and if it's broken, I'll just have to replace it. So, but you know, she was like, this will probably come out of your allowance, Kim. You know that, right? You know. And so I was like, oh yeah, you know, I felt terrible. So we all gathered around, and Mom said, well, you know, Steve, since it was your present to start with, I guess you can just go ahead and open it, and just know that if it's broken, I'll get you another one. So he opened this present up, and it was a great big set of Lincoln logs. A huge set of Lincoln logs. My brother had been wanting Lincoln logs. Lincoln logs are those logs that you build with, you know. And she knew all along. She knew all along that that present was not broken, that present was a set of Lincoln logs, and but she had taught me a lesson about shaking presents too hard, and my brother was thrilled because he got to open his present early and play with his Lincoln logs early, and but we all had a good time that day playing with Steve's Lincoln logs. And if I accidentally said Paul anywhere in there, you'll have to forgive me because I'm constantly calling my brother Steve Paul. And then when Paul comes home, I constantly call Paul Steve. But anyway, I'm talking about my brother Steve and his set of Lincoln logs. And so that was one memory I had. But yeah, my mom, she has so much fun with us at Christmas time. And I hope that my kids have fun too, that I'm able to pass along some of the traditions and some of the fun that my mom instilled in us. So yeah, so anyway, I've got more presents to wrap, and I don't know if you can see this. Can anybody guess who this one's for? Even though it has the name on the outside, we still don't know what's in there. But anyway, so.
Hello friends. Well, I'm back. And as you can see, I just finished wrapping the Ulta present and the garment box. And while I was wrapping these, I got to thinking about something I wanted to share. When I was teaching, one day we were having a conversation in the teacher's lounge right before Christmas about some of our family traditions, and like when we would open presents and about how many presents we would get and that type of thing. And I had a co-worker share that in her family they had three presents, and their family believed that if 3 presents were good enough for Jesus, then 3 presents were good enough for anybody. And I just thought that was the coolest tradition, that was a very good standard to go by. Now I will admit that my children received more than that, and it would kind of vary from year to year. But I saw this rhyme on Pinterest the other day, and after reading it, I got to thinking that was pretty much what I used to buy my kids their Christmas presents. And the rhyme went like this: for a child, you can buy something they want, something they need, something to wear, something to read, something to do, something for me, something for family. And I think that's a total of 7 gifts. And they're not all big. I mean, some of them can be smaller gifts. But, and like I said, it varied from year to year, but I got to thinking that's kind of what I used as a guide. Because usually John and I would work together to try to get each child that big ticket item that they really, really wanted for that year. And, you know, if it was within reason. And then something they needed goes along with like an interest that they might have. So like our kids was into basketball, and so usually around Christmas time they were always needing a new pair of tennis shoes for the upcoming basketball season, because they weren't allowed to wear street shoes to play basketball on the gym floor. So John would usually go out at Christmas and buy each of the 3 kids a brand new pair of white tennis shoes. They had to be white because that's what the coach requested. And then their old basketball shoes, tennis shoes, would then become their everyday shoes. So around Christmas is usually when we would switch up the tennis shoes. And so that went along with something they needed. And then something to wear, and I know the basketball shoes were something that they wore, but that was in a different category. And something that they wear, usually they would get a new pair of blue jeans, or sometimes the girls might want like a skirt or a dress. So they always got something to wear. And then let's see. Something they want, something they need, something to wear, something to read. Oh yeah, we always were giving books. My mom was a big book giver. She would always give books at birthdays, Christmas, holidays, Easter. And so we kind of, all of her kids kind of picked up that habit, and I was always giving my kids books to read, and Aunt Jody might give a book, and Uncle Steve might give a book. I mean, not every year, but we were big book givers. And, they got a book from me every year, because I always found out what they were interested in and what the, topic of the year was, and they were always getting a book from me. And then something to do, and that would be like a puzzle, or tickets to the movies, those type of things. And then something for me, the me is like a personalized thing. So that might be a Christmas ornament that went along with their special likes, or even a personalized ornament, or some kind of a keepsake. My sister used to give each of my daughters a figurine. One daughter got Precious Moments, and the other daughter got Boyd's Bears. I couldn't think of the bear's name, but they were like figurines, and they were keepsakes. And so and my son would get little things from his aunt and uncle, and and I gave ornaments every year. Every year my kids would get an ornament from mom and dad. So, and then something for family would be like a DVD that the whole family could sit down and enjoy together, or a game that a board game, or some kind of a game that we could all play together, and those type of activities. Might even be a puzzle that we can all work on together. So I really did use that poem as kind of a basis of what I bought my kids, even though at the time I didn't know the poem. And so I just, wanted to share that with you. Those were a couple of thoughts that I had, and I was just wondering, what do you guys do when it comes to presents? I also know that in my family, we used to open presents, and we still do. We would open presents from each other on Christmas Eve, and then Santa would bring a present for Christmas morning. So, and our presents to each other were usually wrapped, but Santa's presents weren't wrapped. He would just leave them under the tree open for everyone to see, and usually you knew which one was yours because it was on your list to Santa. So that was one of our traditions, and we always got something in our stocking, usually candy. Candy would be in the stocking, and I still do that for my kids. So I was just wondering, how do you guys do your Christmas? All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go tonight, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.